Hi, this is Shira Rubinoff. I'm here at AT&T Cybersecurity. We're here with AT&T Cybersecurity's new video series all around cybersecurity. I'm here with Todd Waskelis, AVP of AT&T Cybersecurity. Todd, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So Todd, let's talk about all the noise that's out there, certainly around threat intelligence. What are some good sources of threat intelligence for a corporation, really digging out from all the chatter and the clamor? Where could they find the good stuff?
You know, when we first started talking about threat intelligence years ago, there weren't a lot of sources. Now there's a tremendous amount of feeds that give you threat intelligence. And I think a lot of organizations have sort of grown up by just pulling all of that data in that they can. I think for most companies, they need to step back and say, okay, what is relevant now to me from a feed perspective for threat intelligence? So what industry am I in? What consortiums are out there that work together? What information sharing groups can I subscribe to, and sort of cut back, because a lot of the feeds are carrying duplicate data from other feeds, and it becomes very, very noisy, and it's very challenging for them to sort of filter through that. So I think that the best feed for threat intelligence is the one that's really tailored to the organization's specific, vertical and their business model. I think secondly, with threat intelligence, you go beyond the data feeds, and folks are really now starting to dig into the area of what's specific to my company, right? And so beyond looking at the technical data, but what's happening on social media, what's happening on the dark web, what are all the other areas where I can get other intelligence from that gives me something that's actionable?
I think that's so important, and AT&T certainly recognizes there's no one size fits all, and that's why some of the tailoring is done to really understand that each organization has their own value add and has places that's really going to be beneficial to the organization on its own. So kudos to AT&T on that. So on that note, what role can machine learning play in threat intelligence?
Well, because there's so much noise in that threat intelligence feed, it's just impossible for humans to sort through it all, right? So we need to leverage some machine learning against that. And so what we can do is structure machine learning in a couple of different ways. You create these ontologies with groups or titles that kind of put events together, right? You can apply languages so that you can get context out of that intelligence. So for example, being able to cull through something as a human to know the difference between Apple, the corporation, or I'm eating an apple is fairly easy. That's difficult for machine learning to do. So writing the queries properly and including the proper language support and all the structures is going to be key. And so once you can sort through all of that and you've got those structures in place, then you can start really pulling out actionable intelligence from those feeds and being able to feed that over to a human who can then do the final step.
Very interesting. And what is AT&T doing in that sector? What are they doing specifically around machine learning?
Well, as you can imagine, we see a tremendous amount of data, not only from the intelligence feeds that we pull in, but just across our global network. I think we're north of 190 petabytes of traffic a day. So it's imperative that we've created the right algorithms, the right machine learning to filter through all of that data to get those actionable events out of them that we can help our clients with in terms of comparing that against activity on their network.
And of course, I have to ask you about machine learning and cybersecurity.
Well, that's probably the toughest space, right?
Sure.
Because cybersecurity moves so fast, and the adversaries are well ahead of us as we're trying to defend against them. So it's not a set and forget in machine learning. You've constantly got to be redoing your algorithms, redoing your search queries, doing all of those things so you can get the right context around the events that are happening.
Well, certainly being proactive, that comes into play again as AT&T talks about being proactive as well as reactive, and that comes into play in cybersecurity every day. You have to be ahead of the adversary, and you also have to know how to deal with problems that happen. So around machine learning, what types of tips would you be able to give our audience around that in terms of just being aware?
I think that from an awareness perspective, just like AT&T has to baseline their network environment to look for those anomalies, organizations should be doing the exact same thing. So if you don't know how much traffic you should see a day on your internal network or on your company network and what that different type of traffic is, it's going to be very difficult to pull out those anomalies and be able to act upon them. So baselining is absolutely critical.
I couldn't agree more. It's also knowing your organization. I think that's one piece with some organizations struggle with, like where it sits and what information can be pulled.
Right, where the data is, what systems it resides on, all of those things.
Know your data, right?
Right.
Exactly. So how can small and medium businesses use threat intelligence the best? What can be the best utilization of it?
I think the challenge that small and medium businesses face that's different from large corporations is availability of resources and technology and skills and all of those types of things. So from our perspective, we really try to lean in and help those small, medium businesses by providing an overlay of threat intelligence to their activity that's happening on their network. So through our managed security operations center services, we're able to look at the events that happen on a organization's network and compare that against all of those different threat intelligence feeds that we have, plus the one that AT&T uses, to give them that actionable intelligence, because they just don't have the resources and they don't have the technology.
Well, certainly I think that a very important part there is you're not telling them to change their ecosystem. It's you do what you do, and we're going to help you do what you do best.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to more interviews with you on AT&T Cybersecurity video series. Thank you.
Thank you.